Republican Congressman Mike Flood of Nebraska. He is on the Financial Services Committee. Sir, it's good to have you with us. When we look at where things stand right now and what we're hearing about potential firings, do you believe federal workers should be fired during this shutdown and that Democratic agencies specifically should be targeted, as we've heard from the president?
You know what's amazing? The one person that Democrats have their biggest problem with is the exact person that they've empowered during this government shutdown. No, I'm not surprised that we're talking about layoffs. I'm not surprised that they're permanent. This has been something we've talked about with a $37 trillion budget deficit. We've got to make some cuts, but all of this could have been avoided if the Democrats would have done what Chuck Schumer did in March, what they did last year, and that is approve and extend the Biden-Schumer budget until November 21st so that we can find a bipartisan mainline budget solution.
So to that point, though, are you concerned about the potential number of layoffs? I know you're saying this is all on Democrats. They're empowering the president to do it. But if we're hearing they're likely to be in the thousands, what does that say to you about the potential broader impact?
Well, I'm looking at it from my district's perspective. I have a lot of airmen over at the Offutt Air Force Base, Strategic Command, Combatant Command in Bellevue, Nebraska. They're obviously in national defense, so I'm not worried as much about them. But food inspectors are going to stay on the job. There's going to be some cuts. And by the way, we have a bloated government. It makes sense to make some cuts, but until I see the exact plan, it's going to be hard to say how it'll affect America or Nebraska. I do know that Russ Vought has been very good. I'm the chair of the Main Street Caucus. We have had regular conversation with him. They are being very strategic. They were looking at what are the essential services the government must provide and protect property and health and all of that, and what they can get away with maybe permanently riffing. And so this should come as a surprise to no one that we're in this situation. And again, it's entirely preventable. All they have to do is extend the budget they've already supported in the Senate.
To your point about those conversations you've been having with Russ Vought, can you offer any insight then, if these conversations have been ongoing, about where you believe some of these cuts could come first?
Well, Russ Vought's been very careful not to show his cards publicly or even in a private setting like that. But they have solicited from members of the Main Street Caucus, tell us how you see this. What are some agencies that you're really paying attention to? For instance, the National Weather Service is a critical agency that did see some DOGE cuts. And then because Main Street Caucus got involved, we have this rehiring now of meteorologists at offices around the United States. So listen, the White House wants to do right by the American people. They also want to do everything they can to trim the budget deficit. And this is part of it in the discretionary spending lane. And so nobody in America should be surprised that we find ourselves in this situation when the Article 1 branch of government fails to fund the government. The Article 2 branch of government, being the executive branch run by Donald Trump, has the authority to step in and make those decisions. And that's exactly what's happening here.
The political positions are very clear. We are certainly hearing it from members of both parties. I found it interesting. The Washington Post is out with a new one-day poll that reflects similar results to what we've seen in other polling. There have been questions about who is going to get the blame here. The number's pretty high in terms of what we're seeing. 47% of respondents say President Trump and Republicans are to blame for the shutdown. 30% say it's the Democrats. 23% say they're not sure. Those numbers don't look great for Republicans.
Well, that's a snapshot from one media entity. There's a lot more polling that's out there, I'm sure. But here's the deal. I am a Republican that has always voted to fund the government. I voted to fund the government when the House Freedom Caucus didn't want to in the last Congress. I have always voted to do it. If we have a reasonableness standard, and the question is it unreasonable to extend the Biden-Schumer House Republican budget from 2024? The answer is yes. It's so understandable that Democrats already did it in March, and all they have to do is do it again. And then we get to a mainline budget that, again, will require compromise between Republicans and Democrats. And we can end this charade and the uncertainty that Schumer and all the Democrats are putting on the American people by using our federal workers essentially as hostages in some political game to save their own backside. That's how I see it. I want to ask you one more. Votes to fund the government, and that's what's happening here.
In terms of funding and how money is used, I also